Am I the jerk for exposing my abusive stepdad to my half-brothers who grew up thinking he was a good father? Posted by you/chemicalfroyo6239. I really need an outside perspective. I'm a 21-year-old male. I ended up in foster care at 9 years old because of the abuse I suffered at the hands of my stepfather, a man my mom kept choosing over me. Despite all the support and interventions that were supposed to protect me, my mom refused to kick him out. Even after she had a restraining order against him, she still let him back into our lives. Meanwhile, she went on to have 2 more children with this man, my half-brothers, who are now 19, Richie, and 16, James. It got to the point where it was obvious that no matter what, she would keep letting him back into our lives and allow him to make me a scapegoat for anything that was wrong in his life, so I ended up being removed. After I was removed from the home, my mom was allowed to keep and raise my brothers as if nothing had happened. From what I know, my stepdad never laid a hand on them. My mom and this man are still together, I know because I've checked her Facebook more times than I'd like to admit. Growing up, it was devastating to realize that my mom would rather give me up than fight for me. She could have kept me if she'd just left him, but she didn't. This abandonment left me with deep scars and a lot of issues to deal with as I grew up. It didn't help that she cut off all contact with me almost as soon as I was placed in foster care. She wouldn't even show up for court-ordered visits. Foster care was also really rough for me. I bounced around 3 different families, and it wasn't until the last one that I got any therapy to help me make sense of what had happened. A few days ago, out of nowhere, I got a Facebook message from Richie and James. They said they've been thinking about me a lot and want to get to know me. They even mentioned that our mom talks about me sometimes and wonders how I'm doing. They said they'd like to start some kind of relationship if I'm open to it. Richie even said he would be willing to drive him and James to visit me wherever I am in the country. They both seemed nice in this message, and I don't have an issue with either of them. At first, I was going to ignore the message because I don't want anything to do with my biological family. But then a darker thought crossed my mind. This could be my one and only chance to expose my stepdad for the monster he truly is. I could finally tell my half-brothers everything he did to me, everything he put me through, and let the truth come crashing down on them. I know that if I do this, it'll probably destroy any chance of having a relationship with them, but honestly, I'm not sure I want one anyway. I told my friend that I was thinking about doing this, and he said it's a really bad idea that won't accomplish anything I want it to. He said it will most likely just cause them to think I'm bitter and mean and won't make them have any issues with their dad. But, while I know it would be a difficult thing to process, I would want to know if my dad was like that. I would want to know the truth about how my dad treated other children. I don't know how much they know about why I was removed into care. So, would I be wrong if I went through with it? Relevant comments. Commenter. This could lead to your stepfather having your location, allowing him to abuse you again. They might be suffering from abuse and need someone to talk to. Or they might not believe you, a total stranger, about what happened if their father was okay to them. Are you prepared for these things? Could they find your address, job, or friends through your social media? Are you mentally prepared to deal with them again? You are opening yourself up to a lot here. Please be careful. Ops response. I wish he would try to abuse me now. I have dreamt about him coming here. He's a huge, fat, old man, and I would kick his crap so fast if he even came near my property. I guarantee he would be too much of a wuss to mess with an adult, though. But I understand your point with your comment. Commenter 2. Not passing judgment, but your stepdad and their dad are different people. What do you gain by ruining their image of their dad? Would you be happy if they ended up hating their dad and no longer had a relationship with him? Would it make you feel good to take their dad away from your brothers? Because honestly, I don't see a reason for you to poison the well unless that's your endgame, and that would make you the jerk. I have a half-sister. Our dad was awful to me. He was horrifically abusive to my mom and abandoned us after never paying child support. He would love bomb and then disappear over and over. If I was unhappy, it was always my fault. My half-sister grew up with a loving and attentive dad. They're super close, and she loves him dearly. She knows that our dad and I have a more difficult past, but I never try to damage her relationship with him. I'm happy she has a dad who is good to her. What would I gain from hurting their relationship? I would be hurting her, and he genuinely is a different person, as I'm significantly older than her, and he has matured in that time. I'm not saying that's the case with your stepdad, but I would never hurt my half-sister because of my childhood pain. Ops response. Honestly, in my opinion, abusers don't deserve to have nice, happy relationships with people after they've tormented someone else for their entire life. Update 3 days later. Hey everyone, I wanted to come back and give you all an update. First off, thanks for all the advice and different perspectives. I really needed to hear them. After thinking a lot about what everyone said and having a session with my therapist, I realized that my initial plan to tell my brothers everything about my stepdad wasn't really about helping them. It was more about me still holding on to the anger and hurt from my past, and that's not fair to them. A lot of you pointed out that they probably don't know the full story and are innocent in all this, and honestly, that hit hard. I decided to reach out to my brother Richie and told him I'd like to meet up. I didn't mention anything about our mom or the stepdad situation. I figured if we're going to start a relationship, it's better to take things slow and not dump all that heavy stuff on them right away. We ended up meeting at a cafe. I was super nervous, but when I saw them, it actually felt nice. They were both really nice, and we just talked about normal stuff, like what we've been up to, our favorite football teams, that sort of thing. It was weirdly easy to chat with them. At one point, James asked why I was placed in foster care. That caught me off guard, but I decided to keep it vague and just said that things were complicated at home back then, and that going into care was what was best for me at the time. James started pushing a bit for more details, but Richie told him to knock it off, which, honestly, was a relief. By the end of it, I was glad I went. They asked if we could stay in touch, and I said yes. I'm still figuring out how much to share about what happened, but for now, I'm just trying to focus on building a relationship with them. I've realized that while the past is important, it doesn't have to dictate how things go with them now. So yeah, thanks again to everyone who helped me see things more clearly. I'm feeling a lot more hopeful about this, and I'm really glad I didn't just go with my gut reaction to tell them everything right off the bat. We'll see where things go from here, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Second update 1 week later. Before anything, I want to say that I read a lot of your comments. So many were saying I was selfish for wanting to expose my stepdad, while others were saying I was a coward for not doing so. Some people argued that I was allowing the abuser to get away with it by not telling my brothers, and I even received DMs calling me an abuse apologist. Some accused me of being a liar for not answering the question James asked when we first met. I never said I wasn't ever going to talk to them about my past. In my last post, I specifically mentioned that I'm still working on sharing my past in a healthy way, with help from my therapist. Yet, I had people acting like they knew best and that I should just tell them both right away, with so many arguing about it one way or the other. It feels like no matter what I do, there will be issues, and I will upset someone. I'm aware of that, and I'm trying to navigate this in my own way, so please be respectful of that, even if you would have handled it differently. I'm in no way letting my stepdad get away with the abuse. I tried everything I could as a child and teen to get him prosecuted. I've accepted that it's not going to happen. Just know that I am a real person who reads the comments, and not everything I do is perfect. But please, just be kind. I'm not saying this to stop people from giving me advice. I welcome advice. Just be positive and kind. I don't need more negativity. Anyway, in the week since my last post, I have met up with my brothers 3 more times, once with both of them, and twice just with Richie. There seems to be an instant bond between us, something I didn't even know I wanted. I'm really enjoying hanging out with them, which is amazing because I never thought I'd want to see any of my family again, let alone start developing a good relationship with some of them. When I last met up with Richie alone, we went to see a movie and then grabbed something to eat. We talked about our plans and what he's doing now, and eventually, the conversation shifted to me in foster care. I asked him what he had been told about me growing up. He said they hadn't been told much, but that our mom sometimes talks about me. I asked him what he remembered of me and why I was taken into care. He said he has some memories, fuzzy ones and some clearer ones, but he didn't know for certain what happened. He recalled a lot of fighting and arguing between me and our stepdad. He mentioned having one very clear memory of me but wasn't sure if it was appropriate to share it. When he asked me what I remembered, I told him it was difficult for me to talk about with people. He said he understood if I didn't want to get into it. I asked Richie what his clear memory was, and he recalled me being about 8 years old. He remembered our stepdad taking off all my clothes, putting a dog collar on me, and making me eat dog food. He said he remembered his dad hitting me with a belt as I cried while eating out of the dog bowl. This actually happened many times while I was growing up, but Richie said he only remembered it happening once. I started crying, and Richie immediately apologized for bringing it up, but I told him not to. I was actually relieved that he remembered some of the abuse I went through. He guessed that the abuse by our stepdad was the reason I was taken away, and I confirmed it. I asked if our stepdad had ever abused him or James, and he said no, he hadn't. However, Richie mentioned that he wasn't close to either our mom or his dad. He said they were never amazingly loving people, but they never abused him or James. He apologized again. We talked more about our childhood, and I felt safer opening up about the abuse since Richie already remembered some of it. We discussed it further, with me trying to answer his questions and him answering some of mine. He asked if the trauma still impacts me now, and I was honest, telling him that it does and that I've attempted to end my own life multiple times because of it. He apologized for not being there for me and for not sticking up for me. I assured him that nothing that happened was his fault or mine, and that we can't change the past. After we finished, we both went home. Later, he messaged me saying he's glad I grew up and managed to keep living. I think he meant it in a sweet way, even though it came off a little awkward. I feel really amazing knowing that I have a brother who seems to care about me. Just a few weeks ago, I couldn't have imagined that he would even like me. Third update 2 weeks later. Hey everyone, it's been 16 days since my last update, and I wanted to fill you in on how things have been going. I'm still working on building a relationship with my brothers, but it's been more complicated than I anticipated. While things started off surprisingly well, it's clear now that we're all navigating different versions of our shared past. After Richie opened up about his memory of the abuse, we've had more conversations about what I went through. I didn't want to keep tiptoeing around the subject, so I decided to share a little more, but I've been careful not to overwhelm them. James, though, has been acting a bit distant since then. I can't help but wonder if maybe he's struggling to process everything. I wouldn't blame him, it's a lot to take in, especially for someone who had no idea what was really going on back then. And I didn't even really tell him what happened, just that I was abused by his dad when I was young, and that's what caused me to go into foster care. I only told him that much after he asked me again. Richie has been supportive, but I think even he's starting to feel the weight of it all. We had a pretty intense conversation a few days ago where he admitted that he's feeling conflicted. On one hand, he loves his dad, but on the other, he now knows what a monster he was to me. It's like he's torn between two realities: the dad he grew up with, who was far from perfect but never abusive to him, and the man who made my life hell. He hasn't said it directly, but I think part of him feels guilty for not experiencing the same horrors I did. I think he feels like I got it so he and James didn't. I keep reminding him it's not his fault, but I can tell it's weighing on him. Richie has been hanging out with me about 3 times a week, though, and we have a good time together when we do. As for James, he's been pulling away. I tried reaching out to see if he wanted to meet up, but he keeps making excuses. I get it, I probably dropped a lot on him. I've decided to give him some space and not push too hard. I've learned that everyone processes trauma and difficult truths in their own way, and maybe he needs time to wrap his head around everything. Despite all of this, I've started to feel a bit lighter. Sharing my story, even if it's just pieces of it, has been hard, but it's also been freeing. I spent so many years carrying this alone, and while I'm still cautious about how much I share, I'm beginning to realize that I deserve to be heard, too. I'm continuing therapy, and my therapist has been amazing at helping me figure out how to balance opening up with protecting myself. One thing I didn't expect was for my mom to reach out. She sent me a message on Facebook a few days ago, saying she wanted to talk about the past and that she misses me. It was the first time in years I've heard from her directly, and honestly, I'm torn about what to do. Part of me is still angry, furious, even, that she let all of this happen. But another part of me is curious. I don't know if she's finally seeing things clearly or if she just wants to smooth things over without actually addressing what happened. I haven't responded yet, and I'm not sure if I will. It's hard to know if she's changed or if it's just too little, too late. For now, I'm focused on my relationship with Richie and James. I'm hopeful that with time, James will come around and we can all find some peace with the past. But I'm also learning that not everything can be fixed, and that's okay. Some things, you just have to learn to live with. Thanks again for all the support. It's been really helpful to read through your comments and know that I'm not alone in this journey. 4th update 1 month 1 week later. Hey everyone, I wanted to hop on and give a little update. First, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who reached out and sent love. I really appreciate all the messages. I felt really conflicted after my mom asked to meet up. I really hadn't had much contact with her since I was removed. After carefully considering it and reading the messages I got from you guys, I decided it was probably best not to respond to my mom. I chose not to meet up with her and just ignored her completely, as I think even messaging her would make my mental health spiral. It wasn't long after that when James asked if I could meet up with him, which I was happy about because I felt like he had been avoiding me since I revealed everything about what his dad and our mom did to me. Richie couldn't come, even though I invited him, so it was just me and James. We went to the cinema, and we were having a good time when he started talking about our mom and how much she wanted to meet me. I told him I just wasn't ready right now and wasn't sure if I'd ever be ready to meet her again. He started saying that it was selfish of me not to at least talk to her. I tried to reiterate that I wasn't ready and that what she did to me has caused so much pain and damage. He started to say something like, "She's not the same person anymore," but I cut him off. I tried to shut it down there and said I didn't want to discuss it further, and if he kept bringing it up, I would just drop him back off at the train station. He called me a prick and told me to just drop him off, so I did. Not long after that, he blocked me on everything, which, I admit, really upset me. Richie called me and told me that James was upset and had been talking about me being selfish at home. Richie said it was probably best for us to go low contact for a while, even though he supports me. He said he has to navigate things at home until he's able to move out and be independent. I understand that, even though it made me really sad. That happened about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything from any of them since. Even though I've been sending memes to Richie on Instagram every other day or so, we had been sending each other memes constantly before, he hasn't even opened the messages. Honestly, I don't know where to go from here. I feel pretty disappointed by everything. I don't know if this is the right place to ask for advice, but if anyone does have some, I'd appreciate it. 5th update 4 months later. I deleted my last account because I was going to a very dark place, but I have proof that I am the op if anyone wants it. It's been about 4 months since I last posted on Reddit. I left things in a really bad place. Shortly after my last update, I attempted to take my own life. That wasn't the first time, but I truly thought I was past that. I've recovered, and I'm so glad my attempt failed. My God, if anyone reading this has even the slightest thought like that, please speak to someone. You are worth it. The world is better with you in it. I said this somewhere on my last account, but before Richie and James came into my life, I never wanted a family. I never craved it, never needed it. But after they did and then left, all I could think about was how I'd screwed everything up again. I hated myself for it. I tore myself apart over how I had ruined everything, but now, in a better place, I can see I did nothing wrong. At the time, though, it didn't feel that way. Just over 6 weeks ago, Richie reached out to me again. He said things had settled at home, and he was hoping we could start again. I told him, politely, because I really don't blame him, that unless he was ready for a full relationship with me, I couldn't do it. I couldn't live through another breakup. I know that's not the right word, but I just can't think of a better one. I said that if he wasn't ready, I wouldn't hold it against him, but I couldn't be put through this again. He told me he was ready, and he promised me that if he had to make a choice, he'd choose me over them. I asked him about finances and how he'd manage, but he said he had it sorted. At the time, I didn't realize it, but later I found out that Richie and James' paternal grandfather had passed away and left them both a substantial amount of money. So we started again, and it felt like no time had passed between us at all. He told me that I was all anyone spoke about in the house for about 2 weeks after everything fell apart, how I was selfish, mean, and evil. How my mom had posted rant after rant about me on Facebook, wondering how she had raised such a selfish, evil person. I didn't know because I hadn't checked her Facebook in a while, although I used to obsessively. If I had the energy for it, I'd go on and comment something like, "You didn't raise such a selfish, evil person because I was removed into foster care due to the abuse you and stepdad put me through. Mother of the year." But honestly, I don't think I could cope with the fallout. Anyway, Richie said he wasn't going to tell his parents about getting back in contact with me. He said he wanted to move out and then go no contact with them to support me. I told him I didn't care if he told them or not, or if he cut them off or not. That was his choice. The only thing I needed from him was consistency. Either he was in my life, or he wasn't. No more back and forth. Since then, things with Richie have been going really well, better than I ever expected, honestly. He's starting to feel like my best friend, which is something I never thought I'd say about a family member. We see each other all the time, and it just feels right. Like I finally have someone who understands me and actually wants to be in my life without conditions. I don't think I realized how much I was missing that until I had it. For a while, Richie kept our contact a secret. He hadn't told anyone at home that we were talking again, and I was fine with that. It wasn't about hiding, it was just easier for him. But somehow, James found out, and it caused a lot of issues for Richie back at home. From what Richie told me, James wasn't happy about it at all. I don't know exactly what was said, but it was enough that Richie decided to speed up his timeline to move out. He was planning on waiting a bit longer, but with all the tension at home, he just wanted out as soon as possible. James still hasn't reached out to me, and honestly, I don't expect him to. I've made my peace with that. I hope that one day, he'll be able to see past the loyalty he has for our parents and realize that I'm not the evil person they've made me out to be. But I also know that he might never get there, and that's something I can't control. People believe what they want to believe, and right now, he's not ready to see the truth. Maybe he never will be. The good thing is, despite James' reaction, no one has actually tried to stop Richie from seeing me. That, at least, is something. Most importantly, I'm feeling so much better about life again. After everything, I'm finally starting to believe that I deserve to be happy. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful.